Welcome to day 10, step 10 of Ritualize Your Life Challenge. I am Sharada Devi, and I feel grateful and blessed to be here again with you on our challenge. And I'm gonna chant the prayers that we've been chanting every day as you are all joining to Ganesha and to Saraswati to remove the obstacles, the unseen obstacles, and to invoke the goddess of knowledge to be here with us as we get initiated into step number 10. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Aim Hrim Om Saraswatyai Namaha. Aim Hrim Om Saraswatyai Namaha. Aim Hrim Om Saraswatyai Namaha. Om. Okay, here we are. Let's see who is live today. Welcome, Schumacher, Carmen. Theo is back, and Carmen is back. Whisper, Jack, welcome, and someone else, Pat, Harper, and everyone that will join throughout this live, and those that are watching the recording. Much love here from me. Thank you for your participation, your determination, your commitment to this challenge, and I love hearing from you. How's your heart? How's your heart today? And any sharings, any comments, any questions, any experiences that have come up for you in these last days. Yesterday was dedicated to elimination process and I love this process. I got a lot of comments and appreciation. Also the day before with the sacred blood, I posted some daring reels, videos, and I just said like, okay, let's just do it. That's the reality. There's an aspect that is very raw, very bold, very wild, and it's in all of us. And I know it's so liberating when we see someone who actually has freed themselves. That's how it has been for me, seeing other people being wild and being raw, but still being very present, very authentic and embodied, not just like a lost wilderness or an aloofness where then one is not capable to be in life. No, it's like a very grounded wilderness, a very earthy wilderness. And seeing other people has given me the permission to express my very wild nature side, and it's so liberating. And I wanted to do the same for you, for those that are new to ritualizing your life, for those that are new on the spiritual path, and some things that I've been sharing with you maybe are very foreign and still a little bit scary, and invite you to just be with the emotions that arise due to these initiations. There may be questions, even judgments, and they are welcomed. Your questions are welcomed, your judgments are welcomed. I've had lots and lots of judgments in my life, but I discovered as I continue with my journey, the last 20 years I've been on this journey, guided by the Vedic tradition, by the spiritual heritage. All my judgments have been dissolved, really, because once there is understanding and inquiry, then we cannot judge it anymore. Like, we judge things we don't understand, and when we judge something, we're actually judging ourselves. There's an aspect that I'm rejecting, and so I have this opportunity to look into that part of me that I'm rejecting. And in the vision of the Veda, all that is here is sacred. And so all that is here is fit to be honored, fit to be praised, fit to be even worshipped. Like, even the word worship could trigger a lot in you, like, because we may be related to religion, and then like worship, this is then we're part of a sect or a cult or something. But it doesn't necessarily mean that. Like, to worship means to simply offer one's reverence, one's devotion, one's love for the beauty of life. What is cultish about that? Or it's just a very special expression that we're not used to in our Western life. And once we come to the spiritual path, like to worship, to praise, to admire, that's part of our spiritual practice, really. Part of our sadhana is to praise and to honor and to worship, actually. And one of the most important aspects to overcome jealousy, which is one of the, we call it one of the Shat Aris, one of the 6 enemies, in terms of that it hinders us from owning up the wholeness that we are, is jealousy. Matsarya, we call it in Sanskrit. Matsarya, jealousy. And so often when we judge something, it's actually, there is a part of us that admires that part or admires that aspect, because I haven't dared myself to liberate that part of me. I haven't dared myself to free that part of me, so I judge it, right? And so I know, like, I have judged people, I have judged circumstances, and actually a part of me really wanted to do that, like a part of me really wanted to go wild and really wanted to go naked and really wanted to do all these kind of things, but I couldn't allow myself to do that. And then once I did, it was like, oh my God, like, this is actually what I wanted. So there was a part of me that was jealous, right? And there's no shame in feeling jealous. We all feel jealous. We all are jealous beings. Yes, we all are, even those that think they don't have jealousy. There's some jealousy in all of us, and we're all here. Part of our destiny of life is to neutralize and actually understand that we all have jealousy in us, because we all don't know what our essential nature is. And so naturally we compare ourselves to others, and that leads to suffering. And so the medicine for jealousy, like the medicine that neutralizes jealousy, is what? Admiration. The antidote, the medicine for jealousy, is admiration. Yat bhavam tat bhavati. As you admire, yat bhavam, as your bhava is your bhava, how your flavor, how your attitude is towards something. Tat bhavati, tat, that bhavati, you become. So as you admire, and admire, another word for admire is what? Worship. As you worship, as you praise, so you become. Yat bhavam tat bhavati. And so, like, that's really the inner meaning of worship: to praise, to honor, to revere, like that we may be judged, like they're so devoted to something. This is like weird. No, it's not weird. It's just a profound admiration. And that's the direct, like, way to actually become that. Yeah. And so we're opening our heart up. And then these different parts of me can be revealed, because the truth is we have all parts in us, because all parts are me. And that's the vision of the Veda. The vision of the Veda is the vision of wholeness. And it means that this whole universe is myself. Everything is myself. Like, everything means not only the glamour and the glitter and the pleasure. No, everything means the blood and the waste and the elimination and the poop. Like, everything. The glorious side and the not so glorious side. Like, everything means everything. So here we are, embracing all sides of us and admiring, worshipping, honoring, neutralizing all profanity and turning it into sanctity, sacredness. So Theo is saying, I'm really enjoying seeing your courageous portrayal of the shameless sacred of our very human experience. Your boldness inspires me, frees me. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear. Yes, like the permission to be bold, the permission to be shameless, the permission to be free. And Like, and it really is not that we are, like, I'm in no way here to revolt. I'm not, like, I've done that in my teenager time. I'm not here to revolt against society or revolt against my parents, or no, it's nothing to do with that. It's just simply honoring and acknowledging and neutralizing and spiritualizing all aspects of our life. And so there is no, like, I'm not here to actually even trigger anyone. I don't have any intention to trigger anyone, even though people are going to get triggered. But that's not where I'm coming from. I'm truly coming from, I simply want it to be, not that I really want that either. It's just the opportunity for you is to discover that you're a free human being. And I was given this opportunity to discover that I'm a free human being. And by simply ritualizing my elimination, it freed me in so profound ways, like all the other steps that we're learning as well. Because the Veda never really has an agenda for us, never. And there's no agenda from the standpoint of the vision of wholeness. You're, I don't know, am I back? My brother just called me, my dear beloved brother. Like, from the standpoint of the Veda, there is no actually agenda. It's not here to save anyone, because nobody needs to be saved. From the standpoint of the Veda, everyone is whole and complete. So there is no really agenda. But out of love, we share what is given. Out of love, I share what is given. I invite you to join my sacred madness and join me on this train. Call it the moksha train, the train of freedom. So I'm so happy to hear that it inspires and frees you. So then Christine says, Om dear, I feel like the mantras and rituals fill my sails with wind and brings me direction, and at the same time resting in timelessness. That's beautiful, dear. I can feel that. Yes. 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 That's the point and the purpose of these rituals, these initiations. They're here to help us find direction in life, and seeing that this actually simplifying our life, paying attention to the small things. There are no really small things, but just paying attention to every aspect of life. We honoring and giving meaning and purpose, and filling our sails, with beauty, like filling the sails with wind is filling our life with beauty, with paying attention to every step, and just saying a little prayer. We resolve in timelessness. There's a magic, like there's the magic in those steps. There's so much magic in those steps, and that's the same way. Like, ultimately, we discover that, like, in the pain, really, like, why are we? Like, there's so many reasons we talked about that. Why we ritualize our life, but really is that then when I am in a reaction, when I am in despair, when I am in deep pain, I can breathe. I have space to see the situation as it really is, so that I don't just react and then say and do something that I regret afterwards. I can see the beauty, I can see the meaning in this situation that is maybe completely opposite of what I want it to be, but I can breathe, I am alive. Okay, this was given from the universe. There's meaning behind it. And we are on the process, we are in the process of discovering that there is actually ananda, fullness, within everything, in and through everything. The essence, the true of everything, the most painful situation, the biggest crisis, there is ananda, there is fullness, there is love. And so, yes, this is beautiful. Resting in timelessness. So I see so many of you joining. Hello, my loves. Maka, Bhakti, Rike, Rosemary, Isa is here, The Mountain, Memoni. So many new people I think, meet for the first time. Katarina is back. Radmila, hello, community. Neom. Kate is back. Hello. Hello, Miki. Wonderful. So nice you're here with me together. So, today is step number 10, day 10, which is dedicated to self-care, or in other words, the goddess, the God, the sacred, infinite, intelligent being in the form of pleasure. And here pleasure, I referred to relative pleasure. So we have absolute pleasure and we have relative pleasure. Relative pleasure is sensations, experiences that are pleasurable, but that come and go. That is relative pleasure. And then absolute pleasure is Paramananda. That is really our nature. It's a pleasure which has nothing to do with an experience. It's not something that comes and goes. It's your very essence, your very nature. Yet the beauty is that when we give space and time for self-care, for self-love, self-pleasure rituals, we also discover in those rituals that the relative pleasure that I usually project onto something or someone other than myself, I have this opportunity in that moment to discover that that relative pleasure actually comes from me. Actually, no person, no being, no situation is responsible for any pleasure that I experience. Just like no being, no place, no situation is responsible for any pain that I experience. It's same for both. And so through this recognition in the relative, it then also helps me to recognize this fact that I am the source of absolute pleasure, Paramananda, through self-knowledge, we say, through Atma-jnanam, through self-knowledge, through this sacred mirror in the form of words. We discover that actually my nature, your nature, the self of all beings is absolute fullness. We are starting the day every day with Anando Ham. Like every day, if we wake up, today we woke up all, the ones that are here, otherwise we wouldn't be here. Anando Ham. If anyone has done it, I'd love to hear in the chat, like, are you starting to wake up? Before you wake up, saying Anando Ham. Anando Ham. Fullness I am. Limitless fullness I am. Love to hear from you. Like, so that's the first step of our ritualizing our life, our day, remembering our essential nature, the Sara we call it. The Sara is the essential nature. Yes, Theo says, yes, I'm doing it. Amazing. So Ananda. And that we get to discover. And that our essence is Ananda, is fullness, is limitless being. That we get to discover. And what is so incredible is that actually in the most painful situations, right, those often are the ones that lead us on the path of the discovery of our essential nature being Ananda. It's when things are really going havoc, not the way we want, that's where we start to ask for more, are open for help, are open for new ideas. And that's for many of us has been the reason that has led us on the path of the discovery of our essential nature being Ananda, which means that I don't depend on a situation, on a person, on circumstances, so that I can be happy, complete, and loved. Why is that desirable? Well, that is freedom. Like, that's what we call freedom. I can be and I can live as a free human being. I don't depend on circumstances outside of myself. It doesn't mean that I reject them, not at all. It just means I don't depend on it to be a certain way. It can be differently, it can be the opposite. But then I have the chance, I have the opportunity to respond because I don't depend on the situation. If I do depend on the situation or the person or the circumstance, I will react. We only react when I have projected my pleasure, my love onto something or someone other than myself. So when I know that I am the source of love and pleasure, you're not going to react anymore. And so now with this step number 10, like, we're practicing being the source of pleasure until you know that you are the source of pleasure and love and happiness. It's because it doesn't happen overnight. That's a discovery that takes time over a certain time span, where you expose yourself to the truth that you are limitless, but that has to be discovered, because we all have made conclusions that we are not limitless. And not only we have concluded that we are limited, everyone else around us also have concluded that they are limited. So wherever we look, like every mirror we look into, we always see a limited face. We always see that we are not acceptable as we are, and we have to change, and we have to become, and we have to achieve, and we have to be someone and have something in order to be acceptable. So I get to look into a mirror that tells me that I'm limitless and whole and complete. So what kind of mirror is that? The Veda says it's the mirror in the form of words, in the mirror in the form of Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, the mirror in the forms of the Upanishads, the sacred texts of the Veda, or we also call it Vedanta. It's a mirror in the form of words that reveals that our face, our true face, is limitless. And so the knowledge that doesn't really give you a new face, it just removes the ignorance, it removes the wrong notions and the conclusions and the judgments that you have made upon yourself, and it lets you see what you really are. So in the meantime, as this is a pending process, we have self-care practices, we have self-care embodiment rituals that guide us when we do not feel whole and complete, when we are in pain, when we are in sorrow, and we are like preventing, like it's like a preventative care. How do you say that? Preventative care? Like to prevent, so you don't wait until you get sick, you take care of yourself, and so that you don't get sick. And so when you do these self-care practices and self-care or self-love rituals, the way I have done that for many, many years, I become relatively free. I have much less agendas for anyone to please me, to pleasure me. I'm much less dependent on others, really. And especially the neediness of having a partner also goes away. Like, I need to have a partner. I cannot be satisfied by myself. Right? And the craving for being in a relationship. Not that there's anything wrong with wanting to be in a relationship. We are human beings. We're going to continue we'll have relationships. But our purpose as a human being is to actually discover our freedom within relationships. And that's something very rare. We are all dependent, and we are not free in the relationships. And we have so many agendas for each other. And that's very constricting. And then the person runs away, like we run away from each other instead of towards each other. We're afraid of each other instead of feel safe with each other. We trigger each other instead of co-regulating with each other. And that's really the purpose of a healthy relationship, is that we can co-regulate, that we can support each other, we can remind each other of the limitless being that we are. So we call it the freedom, to discover freedom in the relationship. So my upcoming immersion, my upcoming experience in Portugal, in the Algarve, which is actually a widely luxurious accommodation, but not with toilet outside, so don't worry. It's beautiful flushing toilets and bathtubs and fire stoves and an infinity pool and sauna and a beautiful shala. I found my dear friend and sister and student Philippa Devi, who is also who is hosting me actually here in Portugal. She found this beautiful place called Amaria, and we will have a 7-day immersion. It's called Nectar of You. It's called to go from separation towards sacred union within and without. So to discover the mastery, the freedom in relationship with yourself, with others, and then also ultimately with God, Goddess, of course. So that's a very special immersion that is coming up in October. I still have spots available. It's for singles, couples, men, women, non-binary, and it's going to be dedicated to the different archetypes. So we're going to go through the different archetypes, like the lover archetype, the nurture archetype, the magician archetype, the king, the queen archetype, and learn to see their light side, like the the glorious side, but also the shadow side of it, and see how we can integrate them with ourselves, in our own relationship, but also in relationship to another person, and in relationship to the world, and then ultimately to be in service to the sacred. So that's coming in Portugal, end of October, 28th of October to November 3. And then I also have a very special immersion dedicated to sacred relationship, but more with the God-Goddess, in terms of being in service to the sacred, is called the Priestess Initiation. That's happening in Bali in March, from the 1st to the 18th. It's an 18-day 18-day training initiation. There we also learn to ritualize our life, and there we learn how to create rites of passage from birth all the way to death. It's a very deep, profound journey. We go from birth all the way to death. Those are my in-person. And then there's also a small retreat in Sweden, end of September, dedicated to Vedanta, to the pure teaching. If you like and feel inspired by these teachings and really only want to dive into the teaching, then my retreat in September in Röstange I can recommend. So I have different flavors of immersion. So Nectar of You has the flavor of Vedanta. Vedanta is always there in all my containers, but there we also have a lot of these embodiment rituals that I'm going to speak about now today, dedicated to the pleasure and the sacred eros and relationships. Then the priestess also has the combination, lots and lots and lots of rituals, and then the Vedanta retreat in Sweden is mainly dedicated to the Vedanta. It's more mainly cognitive with meditations. And then I have many, many online programs, like the Devi Temple, where you also have both. That's an ongoing membership that you can join anytime, cancel anytime. There you have access to 700 hours of the most potent teachings, these teachings that I share with you from the Veda, the teachings of Dharma, the knowledge of the limitless self, where I go in depth into the revelation that yourself is limitless, with the support of Tattva Bodha. It's a Prakarana Grantha. It's a text, a smaller text with many verses. I forgot right now how many. It's 55 classes, for example, and there we go step by step, using the mirror in the form of words to discover our limitless nature. So that's like a very in-depth study. But there are also many, many other courses there available, like meditation courses, psychology, understanding the mind course. There I have sacred prayers and mantras, where I teach many of the archetypes, the Devi, the deities, the gods and the goddesses mantras and meditations. So I invite you to check out the Devi Temple. And there I also teach the Gita every week, plus have temple experiences and a community where you can also chat with me and the rest of my students, my Sangha, my community. So that's some of that. And then next year we start the Muse again, which is the Devoted Embodied Vedantic Integrated Coaching Certification that we start after the Priestess in May 2025. If you join now, you have the best price to join, plus you get the Devi Temple included, which, by the way, the Devi Temple you get included in all my programs. If you join now the Nectar of You, if you join the Priestess, or you join my mastermind. The mastermind, the diamond, starts in a month. That's like for people that have been on the spiritual journey for quite some time and want to be like in a high-level container with people that are also really dedicated to their highest potential, highest truths. And there you have direct Telegram support with me and high-level mentorship. That's the diamond. The Devi Temple is also included there. So yes, and Philippa just joined the Devi Temple yesterday. Welcome. Yeah. So this is a little bit about my programs, if you want to continue this journey with me. But let's dive now into step number 10 of our Ritualize Our Life Challenge, which is dedicated to God or the sacred in the form of pleasure. So self-love, self-care, self-pleasure rituals. So basically, let's share with you 10. So pleasure. So here in my sense of touch, I invoke the sacred. I am the source of absolute pleasure. So here, like before when I started, I mentioned about relative pleasure and absolute pleasure. And so in this initiation of step number 10, we are honoring the relative pleasure as we are doing self-care rituals. And I'm going to speak about what kind of self-care rituals you can do. And many of them I teach in my container. We're doing, like in the Nectar of You or in the Muse. Some of them also in the Devi Temple, and especially also in the Diamond. Like, I include pleasure rituals in actually all my containers, except in the Vedanta retreat in Sweden. We don't do it there, actually. So here we are honoring both the relative pleasure, but then also the absolute pleasure, because you can bring in the knowledge that you are the source of absolute pleasure in this practice when you pleasure yourself, because you can have this cognition, like now, even now, if you touch yourself and you see that the experience or whatever you are feeling, the sensation, it comes from you, it doesn't come from outside. So if you touch here the chest or the arms, the relaxation that comes, the softness that is being invoked, maybe even some arousal can take place. Like, it comes from you. And so in that contemplation, we take it a step further and see that when I am happy, basically, like whenever you are happy, and you can think of any moment, like, because often that's what happens when we touch ourselves. Like, we start to think of people, or we start to think of situations that make us feel happy. Or it can also bring up sadness because we think of people that are not here anymore, like a lost lover. But once upon a time you did share with them like intimate, joyful moments. And so if pleasurable experiences come up, like, and you even have the memory of it, this is a great moment to recognize how when you considered yourself to be happy in that moment with that person, and even now you can do that, you think of that person or that situation and you felt like this was such a happy, pleasurable moment, like see where that experience actually came from. Did it really come from the person? Did it really come from the music or the sunset or the chocolate cake that you were eating? Like, it doesn't come from outside. Like the person that you were intimate with or the concert you were at, they cannot beam happiness at you. They don't beam pleasure at you. It's your own experience of pleasure or peace or joy or love, and it comes from you. And the truth is actually, like, and that's now a very deep one, like we are actually labeling it. We give it a name, but the experience that you're having when you're in joy or pleasure or happiness, like you're giving a word to it. You're labeling the experience that you have, like, oh, I'm in so much pleasure, I'm in ecstasy, I'm in bliss, or whatever it is. So you're giving a label to it, you're giving a word to it. But actually what really happens is that in that moment, you don't have any agenda for anything to be different than what it is. So there's actually no wanting you there anymore. There's no division. In that moment, when you consider yourself to be ecstatic, blissful, happy, whatever it is, there's no division between you and that. There's no division between you and that. The duality has dissolved because this now has become you as though. And what happens is because there is no wanting you anymore, the fullness that you are can manifest and shine through the mind that has no agenda, no desires in that moment. As I repeat that again, so in that moment when you're happy, when you feel blissful or ecstatic, whatever it is, the duality between you and that, whatever that is, that, the person, the sunset, the moon, the chocolate cake, that duality is gone. So there's no want, no desire in your mind. And the fullness that you are the limitless being that you are, manifests as though, because actually it always is, but as though it manifests and it's reflected through your wanting mind, through your non-wanting mind. So your non-wanting one becomes like that crystal clear mirror. And in that crystal clear mirror, all that it sees and feels and experiences is the limitlessness of your own being. And so this is really the revelation of the Paramananda, the absolute fullness of your being, that we can actually see in every experience, every time we are happy. It's very easy to recognize it when we are happy, when we are filled with love. And so here in this step 10, we're practicing that because we're giving ourselves pleasure, we're giving ourselves love, we're nurturing ourselves. And what can happen also is that it cannot bring up a lot of sadness, like I mentioned before, because you start to remember this or that person that you thought brings you joy and love and happiness, but actually you projected joy, love, and happiness onto them. And so then because you projected it, and once upon a time they were in your life, and then you felt it when they were there, but actually it was always there, you just projected it onto them. And what happens is when they go, because you projected it onto them, it feels like your joy, love, and happiness and pleasure is gone with them, which is not true, really. It's still here. But you now can learn how to access it again without the presence of that person or situation. So that's really our practice as a human being, to be able to access everything that we think is outside of us in the presence or even absence of this, that, or the person or circumstance. And so when the pain comes, because it can bring up grief or longing, then you want to continue. Like you want to meet the pain and the grief and the longing with the self-care, with the self-love ritual. You want to continue. And this love, like this self-care, it will melt the grief. It will melt the pain. It will melt the loneliness. So you give yourself that which you long for. You give yourself that care and attention and presence. And so many don't do that. Like we want and long for that from another being. I have so many women and men also coming to me and saying like, I want this person, I want to be with this person, and they don't do what I want them to do, and we have these conflicts. And then the first question I ask is always, but are you giving yourself what you want from them? Are you really giving yourself what you want from this person? And the answer of all the people is always no. So how can you expect them to give you what you are not giving yourself? Right? I mean, I've done that. I was there. I do it. I've done it. So like, that's a big moment in our life, that recognition. And that's why we incorporate the step number 10 of self-love, self-care, self-pleasure ritual, so that we start to give ourselves what we want from others. And when you give it to yourself, you can actually love people. You can actually give them the freedom to be who and what they are, and you don't need them to be in a certain way, and you can actually love them, like truly love them. Like we tell each other, I love you. But the truth is, the naked truth is that we only love as long as we please each other. And once we displease each other, we allow each other. We don't love each other anymore. I allow you now this. Yeah. But then there's disappointment there, there's anger there. It can even turn into hate in very strong situations. Right? I hate you. Yeah. And so that's the big wake-up call for all of us human beings. Right? That we have agendas, we know conditional love, and we want to develop a life of living free from agendas and the ability to love people as they are. Like giving them the freedom to be who and what they are. They need to grow. They need space. They need to learn to love themselves. And so we give them the space, but really you're giving yourself the space. You're giving yourself the space, and in that space you embody the ananda that you are, like the fullness that you are, the happiness that you are, the limitlessness that you are. All these words, fullness I am, limitlessness I am, wholeness I am, they only start to land in your being when you start to relatively feel whole and complete and loved. And that relative sense of feeling whole and complete and loved, it's something that you develop, it's something that you practice through, for example, these steps of pleasure and self-care and self-love ritual. It doesn't happen overnight. Like I'm doing self-love ritual every day, really. And especially when I don't want to do it, I do it, to really change the habit. Because we're so addicted to the drama, we're so addicted to being in the victim role, and we're so addicted to just stay with the old patterns and feel miserable about ourselves and complain about the world and complain about the weather. But we gotta stop doing that. Like if you're really serious about your spiritual growth, your spiritual journey, about Anandoham, and want to embody that, like the fullness that you are, we give ourselves space and we do this self-love, self-care, self-pleasure rituals. So, what are the ways? There's so many, like so many. So what I love to do is to heat oil. This is very known also in the yoga tradition. It's called Abhyanga. I started doing Abhyanga 20 years ago. I learned it from my Ayurveda doctor and yoga teacher. But none of them at that time introduced the arousal and the orgasmic aspect of it. It was just simply heat the oil and massage your body like with long strokes and put lots and lots of oil on your body, and it's going to soothe your nervous system, it's going to calm your vata, and it's neutralizes the dry skin, and you feel more regulated, less spaced out, more grounded. So these were all the indications and benefits that were given to me. And it's true, like Abhyanga, all these Ayurvedic massages, that's wonderful. And then when I was introduced to also my Tantra teacher, who started to introduce, well, you can do all these massages, but also really enjoy it as you receive it and not see it just as like another yoga practice that you just do. You can also invite arousal and you can invite pleasure. Then it changed something. Then it started to become like a healing, a self-love, self-pleasure healing ritual. And then I started to include my breasts, and then I started to include my belly, and I learned a lot about the Taoist tradition, where you do abdominal massage and you help your internal organs to eliminate the waste and detoxify through abdominal massage. And then I learned about womb massage and external massage and internal womb massage, and so there's so many steps to it, and I don't want to overwhelm you in any way. These are all the beautiful things I teach in my programs, we do in our in-person and online programs, because there's so many benefits and so many nuances to all the different rituals and massages and techniques. So, like, whatever you feel now that you feel most inspired by, that you feel you can introduce, that you feel ready to do. So it could be simply by heating the oil and doing long strokes along your body and massage your body. That would be a simple Abhyanga massage. Maybe you start to feel comfortable and inspired to start massaging your breast. Maybe you feel inspired to massage your belly, maybe your womb, externally, internally. Maybe you feel ready to invite pleasure into your life and have this daily ritual of inviting your arousal and pleasure and even orgasmicness to come, and see all the magic that comes with it. Like, there's so much. Today I'm not going to speak about all of it, but basically, like, your sacred sensual SEXUAL energy, a word I cannot really say here, This is the most healing energy, most empowering energy, most magnificent energy, not only to create babies, but also to help you feel empowered as a human being, courageous as a human being, confident as a human being, and then you can also eventually use it to manifest your dreams. And so I teach that. We have a special class coming up, a Mistress Master class on July, we're in July 21, in 1 week actually, today in 1 week, I have a class called Dharma and SEX Magic. And there I teach about how you can use your sensual energy to manifest your dreams. So you can join for that class. You can sign up if you want. It would be lovely to have you there. So basically, here I invite you to initiate that or incorporate it into your life and have this contemplation on the relative pleasure that comes from your body by touching yourself, inviting your arousal and pleasure and orgasmicness if you feel ready for that. And then in that contemplation or in that ritual, contemplating on what I mentioned before, introduced to you, that you actually are the source of absolute pleasure, of happiness and love and all the good things. Yes, so that is this step. And the mantra for this is, you can repeat after me. Om Paramanandaye, Paramanandaye. So Parama is straightforward. Then you have Parama. So you drop your jaw. Parama, Parama, Paramanan. And then on the Na, you stay a little bit longer on the twos. Paramanan, Paramanan. And then Da. Paramanandaye, 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 Namaha, Namaha. Om Paramanandaye, Namaha. Om Paramanandaye, Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Maybe you want to join me and just caress your body, your hair, like even this simple caress and touch, bringing love and pleasure to your body. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Touching your legs, your feet. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. And maybe you find zones and erogenous zones and places you haven't touched, you haven't cared for in a very long time. And just welcome all the emotions, sensations that come and let them resolve in the fullness, in the love that you are. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Starting to feel safe again, like safe in your body, safe with your own touch. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Om Paramanandaye Namaha. Take a moment, it's so important if you do this ritual, to take a moment to integrate, to feel in the stillness, in the silence, what surfaces. Mm. And this step can be from like 5 seconds to 1 minute to 5 minutes to a whole hour ritual. These are all the different things I share and teach in the in-person, in my online programs, because there are so many beautiful, magical, healing, empowering, self-love, self-care, self-pleasure rituals, and they really have helped me to become, in the relative, a sovereign, empowered, confident human being. Believe it or not, I was one of the most jealous person. I was very insecure. I did not love my body. I hated my body. I was suffering from compulsive obsessive food disorder for many, many years. I couldn't even really come for a long time. I would fake my orgasms. I had a lot of body shame, and I healed this to a very high degree through these self-love rituals and embodiment rituals, along with the teachings, along with the prayers. And yeah, just to tell you, like, I know how it feels. I'm not who I am just from one day to another. It took many years, but it's worth it. Like every tear, every moment dedicated to yourself, it's worth it. And you are worth it. There's nothing more precious in the whole universe than you. Like, you are the most precious being in this whole entire universe, and you don't need anyone to tell you that. Like, you can tell it to yourself, and at the end it is only you who can really tell you that and make you see that. Because no matter who is going to tell you that, no matter how many times they're going to tell you that they love you, that you're precious, if you don't see that for yourself, you will need to hear this the rest of your life from others. And even they tell you that, you don't believe it. Like, you reject their love, you reject their attention, you create a drama. So that's how powerful our unconscious is. And so it is you. Like, it is you that can heal that. And it's your job, it's your duty. That's why you came here onto this earth, incarnated, to help you, to help yourself, to take care of yourself, to befriend yourself, to be there for yourself. And you will discover that yourself is the most precious being. Like, yourself is everything you want it to be. It is. Everything you want it to be. Yourself is that. Yourself is the love that you seek. It always has been, it always is, and it will always be. Yourself is exactly what you want it to be. Then you can discover that. And a wonderful way is through these self-love rituals. They really are so profoundly powerful. So this is it. This was step number 10. And like I mentioned before, all these steps you can also change. Like, you maybe have a different rhythm, a different schedule, and you can change them around. It's not set in stone, but this is more or less how I do my day. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone. Have you any questions? Please share them in the comment. I love to hear your experiences. I love reading your experiences. I always post these lives in my feed, so they are there available for you. And many of you have written your experience, how it has landed for you. I really love that. It inspires me very deeply to know how this lands for you, what happens for you, how you're experiencing it. And thank you so much for participating so much. Yeah. Thank you for the love and the flowers. Okay. So, do you do yesterday step also for peeing? Do you do step also for peeing? Well, that's a very good question. I actually haven't really done it in that way, but you can definitely also use it. There's many beautiful water prayers, like Om Varunaya Namaha. It's for the waters. And you can always use just one simple word like Namaha, Like Namaha is a beautiful prayer, a one-step mantra, one-word mantra that you can use for any of the actions actually. So you can use Namaha also. But yes, absolutely. Like, and you see suddenly all the different actions we do in life, and we can ritualize them, and we can come up with a little ritual. Just like in this sacred water, in this water, in my pee, I see the sacred, I offer it back to the nature. And there are many actually in Ayurveda. There are also rituals where you drink the pee to heal. They're different for different diseases. I don't know exactly anymore for what. Philippa, do you know? My dear friend is here.
It purifies your body if you drink it as a...
Huh?
They say it purifies, it knows exactly where it needs to be purified.
Yeah. It
In
purifies
your
the body. They say in Ayurveda, it knows exactly how to purify. Also, like the pee often is used for, like if you have some eczema, there are different remedies or different ways to use it, like in an appropriate way as a medicine. If you take too much, it becomes poison. The same like with the blood. Like it's like, wow, how can you take that? But in the right measure, at the right time, it's a medicine. Like everything in life, in the right time, right measure, it's medicine. If we overdo it, it becomes poison. Theo says, thank you, Devi. Acknowledgement of the great, vast potential in the touch is so profound. Yes. Yeah, there's so much in the touch. Vayu. Yes. Thank you, Kate. On the note of yesterday, I changed as I was taking out rubbish bin, and I felt a sacred, similar energy of limation. Yes, absolutely. Like the rubbish bin. There's Bhuta Yajnaya Namaha. That's a mantra I chant when I take out the rubbish. Bhuta Yajnaya. Everything goes back to the Bhuta, to the beings. But that's more actually for compost. And then rubbish is like Shuchaye, Om Shuchaye Namaha. The cleanliness, the goddess in the form of cleanliness. And then you chanted Mrityunjaya mantra. Yes, Mrityunjaya mantra is a great mantra for the destructive principle. Okay, hi Nicolo, old brother. Hello, flow with friends and walking on branch trails. Welcome. Okay, thank you everyone was here live and stayed all the way. Those that peekabooed and are coming back, that are watching the replay. Wishing you a wonderful last hours of this Sunday. And then if we wake up, we'll see each other tomorrow for 11, dedicated to movement and eyesight. Ciao, Nicolo. Inga says, Christine, heat was the compost mantra. What was the compost mantra? Om Bhuta Yajnaya Namaha. Om Bhuta Yajnaya Namaha is the compost mantra. 21, I'm with you. Amazing. Yes. We got this.